I share this with you all in hopes that it will encourage you guys, some of you leaders, some of you entrepreneurs, or just some of you all that maybe at a spot where you're overwhelmed, you're frustrated, maybe you're emotionally exhausted, you're tired. There's a lot of it's just weird times that we're in right now. And so I just want to share hopefully some encouragement with you all coming off of a few weeks of a lot of intensity, and we're still in this intensity, and it's just been no joke. It's been very intense. And so I want to just share some things with you guys that have just been, it's like a behind the scenes. Just want to share some behind the scenes with you guys because it's been overwhelming amidst the stress and the man, again, we've been entrepreneurs for 20 plus years. And it's like, we still go through the entrepreneur roller coaster. And so let me just share some blessings with you guys that have happened recently, because being an entrepreneur is like jumping, I call it a lot of times jumping out of the airplane and building your parachute on the way down. That's what being an entrepreneur is a lot of times.
Welcome to the EQ for Entrepreneurs podcast. Like most business owners, you already know you need good business and marketing strategies to scale and be profitable. But at some point, you've hit the dreaded wall where you feel stuck and frustrated. EQ for Entrepreneurs is for business owners and leaders who are honest enough to admit that they just might be the ones holding their business back and are brave enough to change that.
We're Noble and Kathy, and every week we're having candid conversations about all things emotional intelligence and how growing that has allowed us to get out of our own way and is radically transforming both our businesses and our personal lives. This is the secret sauce strategy for modern entrepreneurs who are tired of hustling without seeing results and want to grow a business and a life that they love.
What is going on, entrepreneurs, leaders, and influencers? I just want to take this opportunity to share an update with you all on how we're doing and what we're up to, and also just share just an overwhelming sense of gratitude and thankfulness to all that God has been doing for us recently. And I share this with you all in hopes that it will encourage you guys, some of you leaders, some of you entrepreneurs, or just some of you all that maybe at a spot where you're overwhelmed, you're frustrated, maybe you're emotionally exhausted, you're tired. There's a lot of it's just weird times that we're in right now. And so I just want to share hopefully some encouragement with you all coming off of a few weeks of a lot of intensity, and we're still in this intensity. Again, a lot of you know that we started a podcast back in February called EQ for Entrepreneurs. And, that's another blessing. We've hit over 13,000 downloads, which we're so thankful for. Any of you all that have checked it out, hopefully it's encouraged you, just sharing our emotional growth journey. And we're launching our course, our EQ course, literally tomorrow. It's called eqforentrepreneurs.com/EQA, teaching folks some of the basics and fundamentals of emotional intelligence and emotional health. And it has been very exhausting, very overwhelming, putting all of this together. Kathy's building all the back end stuff, the website, the infrastructure, the email list we've done. There's so, for those of y'all that are entrepreneurs, you guys know that it is an incredibly, almost never ending amount of tasks to accomplish. What tasks to accomplish? When do you accomplish them? In what order? What's more important? The email list or the, creating the content, right? There's just literally thousands of tasks. And then I'm doing a lot of the videos and the post-production stuff of the videos, the editing, that kind of thing. And it's just been no joke. It's been very intense. And so I want to just share some things with you guys that have just been, it's like a behind the scenes. Just want to share some behind the scenes with you guys because it's been overwhelming amidst the stress and the man, again, we've been entrepreneurs for 20 plus years. And it's like, we still go through the entrepreneur roller coaster. And so let me just share some blessings with you guys that have happened recently, because being an entrepreneur is like jumping, I call it a lot of times jumping out of the airplane and building your parachute on the way down. That's what being an entrepreneur is a lot of times. It's not always, possible to build your business with all the traffic lights being green and then you take off, right? What are the chances of that ever happening? So it's just been very exhausting the last handful of days, but I just want to share again some victories with you guys and really it comes from relationships. This is really maybe a story of the power of relationships that you just don't know who God has placed in your life for what time, for what reason, and who He has placed you in other people's lives for a time, a reason, and a season. So one of my buddies called me up. He's the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company that he started from scratch 12 years ago. His company provides hand sanitizers literally globally. So imagine if that guy's busy. So he calls me out of the blue, shares some really personal stuff, which I really appreciate. He kind of told me, I said, dude, how are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm fine. I'm like, no, how are you really doing? And he shared, and I really appreciate that he, trusted me enough to kind of open up. But then he asked me, hey, how am I doing? And he even, he even prayed for me and shared with me some almost prophetic stuff, like eerie level of prophetic stuff. Just, hey, Noble, you guys are in the right spot. You're doing the right thing. This is a valuable need in the marketplace right now on emotional intelligence. It was just very affirming. It was very encouraging and stuff. And that was such a blessing. And again, he was in the middle of a move too. So in the middle of a move, runs a big giant company, very, very busy guy, and took time out of his schedule to do that. It meant a lot. So who can you reach out to? Who can you encourage today? It's almost like the more you help out others, the smaller your problems get. The more you help out others, the smaller your problems get. Then I interviewed a podcaster who averages over 1 million listens per month, a guy named John Lee Dumas with the Entrepreneurs on Fire podcast. Massive influencer. And the only reason that was possible was from a connection, a homie hookup from a guy named Chris Hoffman, former Marine. He's got an awesome podcast called The Ambitious Vet. And totally out of the blue, Noble, man, I just interviewed this guy. Bro, let me hook you up. Why don't you interview him too? And I'm like, I totally freaked out because it was way out of my comfort zone. And he didn't know any of this stuff. He didn't know I was freaking out on the other side. Maybe if he watches this, he'll realize. But man, if it wasn't for him, I would. And that was a huge step up in my confidence. Huge blessing for me. Then I was interviewed by a guy named Nathan Crankfield, a former airborne ranger in the 82nd Airborne Division who runs a podcast and a blog called Seeking Excellence. And he's got an amazing vision. He's got the 7 pillars of kind of excellence. And he asked, it was just an interview on how does emotional intelligence impact the different areas of our life? And how it added value to me was it was fun. It was fun talking about these different areas. It was real and it was raw. Excuse me. It just added a lot of value to me. And so I really appreciate Nathan for that. And then one of my classmates, I got an Eric Lopez. He's a colonel, 06, full bird colonel, very successful military career, just finished up brigade command, is now a chief of staff. And he had me, when he was a brigade commander, had me come in and speak to 150 of his senior leaders on creating change, culture change, how to change culture in an organization. And then he asked me, he's now a chief of staff, asked me to come in to brief his 650 staff on emotional intelligence. He took a chance on me, back, I don't remember how long ago it was, but 4 or 5 months ago. And now he's again investing into his folks with me as one of, it's a win-win, right? And it just, he didn't have to, right? He didn't have to do that. And I'm just so thankful for him. And he called me up and said, Noble, I've got some more ideas for your business. Like, he has ideas for my business. He's got a successful YouTube channel called Lopez on Leadership. And all these people I'm mentioning, I'll put their links in the comments below. For those of y'all that are watching on Facebook, maybe you're listening to this on the podcast, which is super fine too. But just so you can reach out to some of these people if you want to check out some of their content, because these are amazing people. And so again, his YouTube channel is Lopez on Leadership. But again, he was brainstorming for my business, not for his business. He had these genius ideas for my business. Man, when's the last time I've done that for somebody? Just completely unselfishly, no strings attached. No, but dude, I got some great ideas for you, bro. I think this would help you out. Like, man, are you kidding me? It was such a blessing. It added so much, just so much value to me. Then was able to link up with our pastor. Has been out of town for a week or so. Just his family is just such a blessing. Got a zillion kids. They homeschool with classical conversations, and just they're both just an amazing couple. And the kids, literally, they have 8 kids, and it's when I walk in the door, it is 8 kids like hanging from each limb. It is so much fun. So it was oxygen to me to see their family. So it was really neat. And then I missed my normal afternoon session of jujitsu. So I went to an evening class. One of the guys I met at the evening class, come to find out, he's big into personal growth. He was like, oh, dude, I'm totally into emotional intelligence. And his story, I'm like, man, what's your story? He shared this story. I'm like, dude, like your story's got to be a movie. I mean, it was amazing what this guy has lived through and been through. Talk about a success story of this concept called dream, struggle, victory. Like he had struggle, dream, victory would kind of be his story. It was just fascinating what this guy has been through. And so I won't mention his name. He kind of likes to keep things on the down low, but a super guy, just encouraging to kind of hear his story. And then another guy at JITS, a guy named Mike. He's a former Apache pilot, going to be the assistant general manager to a big facility here in the area that we live in. He said, Noble, would you be interested, or would you be able to come in and talk to my staff on emotional intelligence? Again, I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't like, I didn't even have the idea or the thought. And, again, at a time where I was like, man, we're in the fight, we're in the grind, the entrepreneur grind, so to speak, and really putting in time and hours. And man, just all these neat little ways. Kathy and I call them sometimes the chocolate chip cookies on the road of life that God just drops along our path to like, hey, dude, you're not alone. I haven't forgot about you. You're on the right path. Just really encouraging times and conversations. And I've had some really good conversations with our professor of the jiu-jitsu gym as well. Incredible guy, 4th degree black belt, guy named Marcelo Mata, incredible guy. He's been doing jiu-jitsu for 30 years. Humble, you think, man, when you're at the top of your game, 30 years of doing something, he could be walking around like, big man on campus, one of the most humble guys in the gym, even though I'm he's half my size and can destroy me. So, but again, just a blessing to have some of those conversations and stuff. Then we recorded a training module on emotional intelligence for a young entrepreneur named Michelle Garabito, who is wanting to help create emotionally healthy entrepreneurs. And so she's putting together this whole training course, and she's got all these different modules. Well, she asked, hey, could you guys do one of the modules for my course? And of course, we're like, absolutely. And then another good buddy of mine named Ray Rivera and Stephen Haynes, they asked me to be on their podcast interview, or to interview me for their podcast. And also just, kind of the timing, it's ironic, the timing, how all this, it's just crazy, the timing, right? And then Sunday morning, this Sunday morning service, we go to Fervent Church. Our pastor, again, Garrett Groppner, super guy. Again, his wife's amazing too. The kids are amazing. But he shared from John 15. And in John 15, it talks about how, I'm the vine and, the Lord is the branches. I mean, we're the Lord is the vine and we're the branches. And, but he made this analogy. He's like, okay, so have you ever seen a tree struggle or force fruit? And I thought, man, that's an interesting concept. He's like, no, dude, like how nature works is like fruit is the natural consequence or byproduct of healthy growth. He's like, so stop trying to force of your own power and try to, you know what I mean? Like stop, all this stress and anxiety. He's like, man, just, allow the growth and the fruit to happen as a consequence of your own healthiness, of your own growth journey. And I thought, man, it was just so timely, right? Because tomorrow we launch. So the timing of all this, we've been stressed. It's been pretty intense, a lot of hours, a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And then to top it all off, we had a real good friend of ours who's a senior leader in classical conversations. She's kind of oversees a big giant area of classical conversations, a lady named Jessica. And she brought us in. She had some of her senior leaders that she's kind of mentoring and coaching and stuff into town. And she said, hey, would you guys come in for an hour or so and just share about emotional health and emotional intelligence? And so we're like, absolutely, any way we can add value. And so we did, and we received some great feedback. One lady in particular just shared some stuff. She's like, Noble, dude, I met you, years ago. I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, when you guys first started Classical Conversations homeschool program. And dude, you are a different dude, bro. Like this whole emotional growth stuff, like I can totally tell that you are different. And like I don't ever, like I see her maybe once a year, maybe once a year. And so, and it was just I don't know, guys, like it was such a blessing, all these things. And again, the night before our launch, right? Where again, leading up, it's been very intense and all this kind of stuff. So I just wanted to share some of the blessing that, man, how grateful I am for all these people and relationships that God has put in my life, and also something that I have sowed into too as well. And who, so it's made me think, like, who can I be a blessing to? How can I add value to somebody else? Who can I encourage? Who can I brainstorm for that may not even realize, like maybe I have some ideas that maybe they haven't thought of before. Who can I reach out to? Who can I text or email or call and encourage them on their journey of whatever their journey is, whether they're in business or they don't have to be an entrepreneur, but just military folks, guys, right? So I talked to another guy who's blessed me. He's called the Marine Rapper, and Raymond Lott, super guy, and he, the whole veteran suicide, do 22 push-ups a day, and he thought of this idea when I first met him in the military influencer Facebook group. He said, dude, why don't we talk to 22 veterans a day? Not do 22 push-ups a day, but like actually talk to 22 veterans over like one day, every day for 22 days in a row, 22 veterans. Like what difference would that make? If you added up all the push-ups that have been done, and not to say that hasn't been a blessing, but what about let's talk to these guys? Not just like, hey, I'm doing push-ups for you. Like, hey, bro, how are you doing today? Some of these guys, I'm a veteran too. You just don't know. Some people walk good, talk good, smell good, but maybe they're hurting inside. I just heard a song by Matthew West I think it's called Truth Be Told, maybe, or something, or I'm Fine. And it said, hey, everyone says I'm fine, but I'm hurting inside, right? So are you hurting inside? Like, please reach out. If you need help, you need encouragement, please seek that out and be that for somebody else too. Again, the more you help others, the smaller your problems get. I wanted to share some of our the ways that I'm just overwhelmed, man, and so thankful at the people that God has put in my life. Oh, I'm not a big LinkedIn guy yet. I'm still trying to get better at LinkedIn. And I updated my status on LinkedIn, and so many of my classmates, my college classmates, and just other friends have just reached out. Hey, man, congratulations, all that stuff. Man, thank you, guys. Thank you. I'm so thankful for the people that God has put in my life. And, thank you. You're valuable. You matter. You make a difference. And I will say this, your emotional health is worth investing in. Your emotional health is worth investing in. And whether, maybe you can listen to our podcast, or maybe that can give you some encouragement. Again, it's just called EQ for Entrepreneurs. Maybe you want to check out our course. But man, get help. and find somebody else to encourage. Find somebody else. Maybe you can pray for them. Let them know. Hey, just send them a message. Hey, man, just prayed for you today. That's it. Nothing fancy, no deep stuff. And listen, let me encourage you with this too. This is something I failed at for most of my life. If you know somebody is going through tough times, man, I know there's so many people that don't like to enter that space with them because it's awkward and uncomfortable. And I'm one of those guys. I have been one of those guys. If I know someone just had a death in the family or someone's going through a tough time, I have avoided them. How crazy is that? I have avoided them because, man, that's uncomfortable. I don't know what to say. What do I say to this guy? What do I say to this lady? I don't know. Like, they just lost a family member. They just lost their job or they're going through a tough time. Like, man, just reach out. Hey, I'm praying for you. Hey, maybe send them a verse, send them a quote, send them just an encouraging note. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but man, there are a lot of hurting people out there. And I just think that, while hurting people hurt people and are easily hurt by people, emotionally healthy people help heal other people emotionally. God bless you, and hope this added value to you.